The 2 Count, where comedy meets wrestling. Please comment, share, and like, and if you're watching the live stream, join us with your comments and questions. And now here are the hosts of The 2 Count, comedian John Russell, and wrestling broadcaster Big Ace.
Everybody, good to see you. Happy Tuesday. It's JR along with Big Ace, and we're going to talk about the Royal Rumble that's coming up on Sunday night on the WWE Network. Big news about that network, though, I'll tell you, folks. So we'll talk a little bit about that and the new relationship with the WWE and the Peacock Network, and how that may affect you if you're already a subscriber. How you there he is. Hey, Jesse, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Hope things are well with you, sir. And we'll be talking. I don't know if you're into the Royal Rumble, but that's what we'll be talking about this week. We're going to talk about our favorite Royal Rumble matches from across the ages. And it's funny in looking through them all, and I will be honest with you, I did not watch all. There were 35 Royal Rumbles to this point. This will be number 36 coming up on Sunday. And yeah, it's funny because the very first one is probably one of the worst.
Right. Yeah, it's just like there was no real rhyme or reason to it. It just was like, hey, we're going to put you all in the ring and do this match, and the winner wins.
Well, the thing is, let's be honest. The thing is, they didn't really know what they were doing at that point. I mean, that would be like, hey, we got this brand new idea, and they weren't able to test it out on a crowd, anything. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Oh, really? Well, Dan, you, and you're one of the most knowledgeable folks that listens and watches and participates with us. So that's cool. Yeah, it was. Yes, he did. Hacksaw Jim Duggan won the very first one, and as most people know, a man that just passed away recently, Pat Patterson, was a guy that came up with the whole idea. And when you think about it now, and in watching a Royal Rumble now, we know certain things. We know we're going to have some comedy spots. We know we're going to have some surprise entrances, returns, debuts. And there's going to be a couple of different, this year. Okay, gotcha. And we're going to have a couple of different storylines that run throughout. But that first one, it was kind of not great. Yes, you're correct. And it's interesting because everybody's trying to get their spots in, but nobody was getting any spots in, because they just didn't know what to do. And so now all of that's been ironed out, and we become used to a certain format for the Royal Rumble. And we'll go through our favorite, and actually it's top 6, because I'll be honest with you, when Ace and I went through, and he came up with his list, and I had my list. Yep, I'll tell you what, Dan, I just watched Monday Night Raw highlights before we came on, and I was very excited by that. That's going to be very, very interesting. See what part of his body he can break again. No, I don't. I hope he doesn't. But tearing a muscle, that's not a good thing. It takes a long time to get back from that. I mean, it's like I mentioned this to somebody before. You think about athletes and how long it takes them to heal stuff. I'm like, I twisted my knee at work, and I'm like, how the hell does they? I mean, what I did to my knee is nothing, and these guys would still keep going through. So anyway, oh yeah, they are still doing them. Absolutely. So yeah, Jesse, for those of you that are not aware, so here's how the Royal Rumble works. You start off, and there's no time limit, all right, which is beautiful. But they usually go anywhere from about 45 to an hour, a little more, maybe.
I think it clears an hour now traditionally. Just
yeah,
I would say someone's been in there for almost 60 minutes.
So the way it works, and it's not always been this way. There've been what, 1 or 2 that have had 40, and when they do the propaganda show over in Saudi Arabia, they do 50.
The greatest Royal Rumble.
The greatest Royal Rumble, because it takes bloody ever. I mean, you can
But
start
they
it
did have one of the best Rumble moments ever, and that was Titus O'Neil
sliding under.
sliding under the ring.
That's right. But the way that it, Kofi, and that's one thing. Tradition is that Kofi has to do some way where his feet don't touch the floor. He's the designated no floor toucher.
But will he be back? I don't think he'll be back, right? Isn't he out still?
You know what? You're right. Now I recall it. He is still out, unless he makes a surprise return.
Possibly, yeah. Well, we'll get to that later.
We say the only reason he would make a surprise return would be so that he could do his gimmick and then get thrown out. I mean, it's almost like the Undertaker streak in a way. But anyway,
I feel like maybe like Ricochet will take that place this year and do something.
You think?
Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, he would be the perfect guy to do it. But anyway, the way it starts off is you've got entrant number 1. And the only way to win is to be the last man in the ring. And the way that it works, Jesse, is it's 30 men. The only way to be eliminated is to be thrown out over the top rope, and your feet have to touch the floor. That's why we talk about Kofi Kingston, who does these things where he jumps on chairs and walks on the guardrail and does handstands and walks on all this garbage, which is like hokey, and nobody else does it, but he does it.
The ladder stilts was my favorite that he did.
Yeah, that actually that was good.
But honestly, the best one out of all of them, because he's done it. Naomi was doing it for a while and stuff, but that Casey Castanava or whatever her name is, Ninja Warrior from I think it was the first or second Women's Rumble, where she literally lands on her back, just never put her feet down though, and was able to basically handstand and then walk. Right?
Yeah.
To the ring post and then just wrap her legs around it,
climb the ring post, like shimmy up it like a tree,
like, sit up onto it and then shimmy over. Like it was crazy.
Yeah.
And she's like a tiny little thing, but she's like a badass. So that was my favorite that I've seen out of all these things. I didn't like the one with the chair.
No, the chair was hokey, and the one where they get caught and put back up is hokey. But anyway, it doesn't make any difference. We come to expect it in this match. So then you have your number 1 and your number 2 who both get introduced. They come out to the ring and they get to fight for what? I mean, the initial 2, it seems like they're there longer than a minute.
No, so basically you got 30 guys, one ring, everybody gets a number, 2 people start. I think they're in there for 2 minutes. Or
is it 2?
It's a minute and a half or 2 minutes, and then it just cycles through till all 30 are in the ring. You get eliminated over the top. And last man standing gets a title shot at WrestleMania, the grandest stage of them all.
Now, I will say this. If you were to put a timer on this, it's absolutely out the window. Because at this point in the game, there are certain things they want to get in that time that X, Y, and Z are in there. And so it's not always exactly on the money on time. Like and you tell me if I'm wrong. But it seems like sometimes it's been 3-4 minutes, and then the timer starts again. And then sometimes a little bit shorter, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's been some moments where maybe there's been. What was the one that I just watched where, dude, he came out like 30 seconds before the clock even came on the screen. I don't remember. It was like late 90s, early 2000s. Where he came out and like after he hit the ring, the 10.
Oh yeah,
and it was, and there's been those moments too where like no one comes out.
They take their time.
Well, there's been a few though where it was like an injury or something, so they just didn't.
Hey Brady, good to see you. Thank you for coming in and looking in. We appreciate it.
So like, yeah, like I think it was like Owen Hart got hurt once and he didn't come out, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, the interesting thing with this match is that you have so many people in the ring and they want to get their spots in as far as like the stare downs that you haven't seen yet, or if there's a storyline going with someone in there, they're gonna build on it while they're in there, which then all that will factor into who we will guess on who we think's gonna win, because it kind of also has to do with what the storylines have been going on
yeah
too. And again, after we do our countdown and all that, we'll get into those predictions. I think I don't know. I'm pretty confident in my picks. Pretty confident.
Are you now?
That or I just really want it to happen.
Okay.
But I feel pretty good about it.
Okay.
I think I'm on to something.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, man. We will definitely see.
We'll see. Always happy to have you, buddy.
Did you catch Dynamite this week?
I watched it, and see, here's the thing. It seems like it's so long ago now. I did watch it.
It is hard that we do the show live, and the very next night's Dynamite. So by the time we do our shows, it's like, damn, that was like a week ago.
It's a whole week, but as I do recall, it was good.
So Hangman says no to the Dark Order. Where is that going to go?
That's right, and that made me a little sad, to be honest.
I kind of really hoped he would join.
I think there's still something there. But I don't know. Maybe not. My opinion is this. I think what'll happen is, Brady, the biggest thing coming up right now is the Royal Rumble on Sunday. And we'll be talking about that in full in probably less than 10, 15 minutes. We got a couple other things to cover with some of the other promotions. And this is an interesting thing too. They continue to do this kind of cross promotion stuff with Impact and AEW. Yeah, absolutely. Still cranking out the Royal Rumble. This will be the number 36, as we mentioned.
It's funny. Wasn't it the last show that I said, like, are they going to do more than just the Bullet Club, though, with this whole crossover? And then all of a sudden, Private Party and Matt Hardy showed up on it.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, well, now we're finally seeing it. So
it's crazy
to see how it will all play out. I don't know how I feel about it, though.
I got to be honest with you. I'm not a huge fan of it.
I still just think that AEW had time to still just make their own product grow before they did some inner promotion work. But that's just me. I don't know. There's a lot of people, though, who also think AEW is perfect and everything they're doing is 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
That's cool. But I also feel there's certain things missing and that they haven't gotten there yet with some of it. And I'd like to see all of that take form before they start doing this, especially because they are going to be the superior product with all of these people they work with the exception of maybe of New Japan.
Right. So there's Dan's comment. Do you know about that?
I knew that they were bringing in Ziggler's brother. I guess I didn't hear much after that. Just because that's one of the things is it's so hard to keep up with who's coming into AEW because they keep signing. I mean, now you hear this Ryback saying he's going to AEW.
Oh, I hope he can eat a turd.
That whole thing has turned into something because now he's like he claimed today he's looking into attorneys and stuff because one of the last comments from Mark Henry was he literally said, "And AFW, if you guys really are bringing Ryback in, do yourselves a favor and tell them to stay home.
Yeah,
you don't want to work with them." And now he's like, "Oh, that's slander of my name." And it's just like, dude, you started this shit. Just shut up.
He's an idiot turd.
The WWE from the beginning. The feed me more thing was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Who feed me? Like, you're a grown man, bro. Like, go back to Sheffield. At least you had a cool name.
Yeah.
Ryback is dumb. Like, and now you're just a sad old dude who couldn't hack it because he was hurting people too. That guy was so stiff.
Oh yeah.
Not great in the ring. That's like, man, dude, just chill out, man. Like, some of these people just need to learn to take a loss. Like he needs to be like, I wasn't that good. Joey Ryan needs to learn that you don't need to have criminal charges to still be a fucking creep. That's what you are, bro. So just
that's
walk
right.
away. Like,
that's right. And by the way, for those of you who are not familiar with some of the wrestling terminology, being stiff is not like a boner. Being stiff is when you actually hit when you're supposed to be pulling back a little bit. And this fella named Ryback, very, very built, very, very muscular, but not flexible enough to pull back on stuff. And in the parlance, a dangerous guy to work with. But anyway, the one thing that I'm really looking forward to with AEW is Thunder Rosa versus Dr. Britt Baker, which will be happening on February 3rd. So it won't be this week, but it'll be next week, and I'll really be looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be a good match. And there's just a lot of things going on. Like this week, we're gonna find out Cody Rhodes is finally gonna respond to Shaq's comments from like a month ago. Finally. So that'll be fun.
Well, he's got a busy recording schedule for the big show or the Go Big Show or the whatever the hell. I don't know.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they do though, because I feel like that's going to get wrapped up into the Jade Cargill stuff and Red Velvet stuff.
Yeah, which is very cool.
Which I'm curious to see. Like, is it going to be 2 singles matches, or are they going to maybe have them partner up? And that first match is going to be Shaq, Jade, Cody, Red.
I don't know. Here's the thing. I'm looking forward to it. And those of you that are not aware, Ace is a personal friend of Red Velvet's who is in AEW, and because of the fact that Brandy Rhodes had this thing set up, and she turned up pregnant, so they had to pull her out, and so Red Velvet is the one that's being plugged into this spot, which is fantastic. And I will say this: I saw on Twitter that Kylan King had a picture of her with Red Velvet and said, congratulations, I am so proud of you. So I think something more is going to happen with this, and it just hasn't been revealed on air yet.
Well, those two are like, I think like old buddies, her and Kylie.
Well, either way, I mean,
that's the thing about AEW. A lot of those people were all on indies together. Something else that's going to be interesting to see is we're going to get Jungle Boy and Dax in that match, and Tully Blanchard and Cash Wheeler are going to be handcuffed to Luchasaurus, apparently.
Yeah.
In the match. Oh, I mean, that's just comical.
These are old school stipulations, though, and I love it.
Yeah, it's fun stuff. Plus, it's gonna be just a good match. Like Jungle Boy is like that kid's he could be a headliner. You know what I mean? Like,
and I will say this because we mentioned it before a couple of weeks ago. The documentary "You Cannot Kill David Arquette" or "You Can't Kill David Arquette." I watched it the other day, and holy cow, that is something.
Yeah. Was it last week that we talked about her, or the week?
I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so now that you've seen it, what did you think of it?
I thought it was here's the thing. I thought it was fantastic. It really depicted. I mean, the guy that I got to work with and meet, it's the same guy. I mean, and I don't mean just like, oh yeah, I mean that same attitude that he has this kind of humbleness about him, where he feels terrible about the fact that he went along with winning the world championship in at WCW, and he respects and loves it so much that he didn't want to do it, but he did it, and he took all sorts of shit for it, you know.
It's like DDP says, he's like when he's like, if you were in his position, you'd say no, and it's like, yeah, no. If I was in his position, I'd be like, I mean, this is like, I mean, this is kind of shitting on the business. So you shouldn't really do this, but I mean, okay. Like, no one would have said no to that. And the fact, I mean, that is the one thing too, is you really do, as a wrestling fan watching that documentary, it's like he is a fan, and he does feel like he was very disrespectful unintentionally to it. But I remember when all that happened. I remember when Ready to Rumble came out. I remember when he, and I never once was like, frickin' David Arquette. Like right away, I was just like, oh my God, what is Eric Bischoff and the writing staff doing at WCW?
Yeah.
What are they doing? Like, this is just, and that belt, because that belt, again, we talked about this in our list for title belts. That's a special belt.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
NWA belt before there was no more territory, an NWA belt, and it just got absorbed into WCW.
Here's an interesting little tidbit for you, and I mean this because David Arquette was kind enough to, when we were doing the Masked Comedian X show, do a little promo. No, he had zero support from the wrestlers, zero.
In that documentary, who was it that he was getting into? It was with Brian Knobbs, which. Whatever, Brian.
Yeah, Brian. Well, whatever.
You're no freaking
Brian Knobbs. Brian Knobbs. In wrestling, Brian Knobbs is like the me of comedy. It's like, yeah, he's been around, but he's a piece of shit. Anyway,
yeah, his claim to fame is that he's friends with Hogan.
Yeah.
Well, I'm friends with the Nasty Boy, brother.
But here's an interesting thing about David Arquette. So when my son was young, when Ready to Rumble was coming out and all that, and who's the actor that was in it with him?
It was,
and I can't think of his name, but
it's Khan's kid. James is Khan's son, isn't it?
Well, no. He was in it, but I'm talking about the guy that was that portrayed the wrestler. They had an actor,
Oliver Platt.
Yeah. So
the King, baby.
Yeah, that's right. The Jerry Lawler of wrestling. Anyway, the point is that when this movie came out, my son wanted to go see it. Well, both of my sons wanted to see it because, I mean, back then when I was working in radio in Fargo, I was fairly well connected with both WWE and WCW. And whenever they came, not only to Fargo, but they come to Minneapolis, and then their promo guys would send me shit and I'd give it away on the air. And then we'd just go down and go to the shows. So we went to the movie, and he had this project. Now he was supposed to do something or other, or I think it was how to do something, a demonstration speech. And I says, well, why don't you just tell him how to get an autograph? Well, how do I do that? I said, it's pretty simple. Pick somebody you want an autograph from, write him a letter and say, would you possibly send me, say whatever, say, I watched you in the movie. It was great. Would you possibly send me a autograph picture? Right. So my son, fresh, literally, we watched the movie on Saturday. On Sunday, he writes a letter to Oliver Platt, and he writes a letter to David Arquette. Never ever hear from Oliver Platt.
Yeah, he was a big deal then. That was
that
was a lowbrow movie for him.
It totally was, because he's actually a very good actor.
Yeah, he's still a big name.
But I am not kidding you. A week and a half, and he gets an autographed picture back from David Arquette.
Oh, that's cool. Did you tell him that when you met him?
I know, because to be honest with you, I totally forgot about it.
Oh, that's too bad. That would have been.
I know, because I think he would have loved it. But
Did you tell him anything about Ready to Rumble when you met him? Were you like,
he was talking about it, I didn't want to. He had a full house of people that came to watch him.
Okay.
But he's like going anything. So basically, he didn't really do like a stand-up set or something. He did. RJ City actually kind of did a stand-up set, a little bit. And by the way, he's another guy that's freaking hilarious, and I should try to get him on with us again. But the other thing is, I think if we really tried, we'd probably have David Arquette on with us.
Yeah.
If we really tried hard, but we'd have to try hard. But anyway, point is,
try hard.
Do we try hard at anything?
I think we do. If not, we're not doing it right, and we need to fix that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. See, here's the thing, Brady. So this is what I was going to say. He was doing a question and answer about his life, about growing up with all of these in this talented, basically in a showbiz family.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And yes, he had people that were fans of Scream. He had people that were fans of his wrestling and all of the other stuff that he's been involved in. All right. He had people that were there that were just like fans of Courtney Cox. I mean, because he was, anyway, the point is, so he had all these people there that were interested in seeing him. And I didn't get, I don't like to like fanboy it up when I'm backstage, because that makes me look like a gigantic douche. Yeah. And it's the same thing. I waited until the very end when I was working with Gilbert Gottfried. It's the same kind of thing. But anyway,
like I loved you as the parrot in Aladdin.
I know, you were the duck. You got fucked out of that only because of that tsunami.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. But see, that's the thing. I'll tell you, David Arquette. See, here's the thing. When he seemed like he was really, really tired, and this was not, huh?
When you met him?
Yeah.
So was he not sober then at that point?
No, he was sober.
Okay.
But he was just so basically what they were doing was, and if you recall, they came in, they were booked up in Ely or wherever the hell that casino is up there, that they were doing that Fortune Bay Casino, Fortune Mania. And you remember that? Because it was right after.
Yeah, it was the same. It was like literally the day after the Hall of Fame weekend.
The Hall of Fame. So a lot of the Hall of Fame people were going up there. He apparently couldn't get in to do anything at the Hall of Fame, which is probably kind of a travesty, but not. So he came up to Minneapolis and did this show on Saturday night, and then he and RJ City went up and did.
He tried to come to the Hall of Fame. I don't think so.
No, I don't know if he did or if he didn't.
They would have never turned that down.
No, I don't know. No, dude, I don't know if they did or if he did or if he didn't. I just know that I'm assuming that because in that documentary, right, how those guys were treating him.
Yeah. Well, and it was interesting to see how it all changed too, because he started the Indies is what helped him though.
Oh hell yes,
because he did WrestlePalooza. One night.
Yeah.
Didn't he wrestle Colt at that?
Maybe.
I think he wrestled Cabana at that actually.
Yeah.
I could be wrong though, but yeah, I mean, and just in that documentary alone, from the wrestling stuff, to see him do it, get into it, get healthy doing it, fall off the wagon again.
Yeah.
Kind of get back on the wagon and
get stabbed in the neck and almost die.
That was rough. And that just shows, stuff's dangerous, especially when you're doing death matches.
Yeah. Don't do that. Anyway, point being, but I know we got off the track a little bit. But that's what happens when you're having fun. I try. So anyway, if you haven't checked it out, it's on Hulu. You Can't Kill David Arquette. It's a really, really interesting documentary. Hey, JJ, good to see you. Happy to see you, sir.
Yeah, definitely check it out. Definitely.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for stopping and giving us a hello.
Yeah, definitely entertaining.
Absolutely. All right. So one thing, and let's just hit it real quick. So if you are not aware of the WWE network and the fact that they've got on basically every platform now, they've got a network. Let's see here.
Yeah, I've seen that. Askren's a UFC guy, right? And then Paul is the vlog or YouTuber. And they're gonna have a boxing match though, so it's interesting to see because you obviously different rules from UFC. And was Jake the one? And remind me if I'm wrong, Brady. But is Jake the one? Is he the Paul brother that was trying to goat McGregor? Which after the loss now, who knows what McGregor's gonna do? Plus, he just got like some big lawsuit and I guess might be suspended or something. I don't know. Bad week for Conor McGregor. But yeah, I think Jake Paul was maybe trying to call him out. Jesse? Oh, okay. Either way, I mean, you got to give those guys credit because they're actually putting the time in. They're not just like being dumb making YouTube videos of them having like a fake boxing career. Like they do train, they take it serious, but it's just they're probably just not on the level as a pro, and they've been doing all these just it was Jake, all these just marquee, what do you call it? Attraction match, you know what I mean? Like it's not like a legit sanction like light heavyweight, you know what I mean? Like it's gonna give you rankings in the pro wrestling world or boxing world.
So basically it's a step up from being Kimbo Slice.
Yeah, basically, although Kimbo eventually made it to UFC. So, and Logan Paul's fighting Floyd Mayweather in a charity event or like a charity match or whatever it is, just like whatever Tyson and what they did, and hopefully Mayweather just knocks him out. Like I just really want to see these Paul brothers just get beat up. Like this is what I want to see, especially the one that knocked out Nate Robinson, just because I think that gave him a way bigger head than he deserves to have right now. Because I've seen him go after Diaz too, Nate Diaz and Nick, I can't remember, and it was just like, what are you doing, bro? Like you're not getting in the cage with Diaz. Either one of the Diaz brothers are gonna fuck your world up, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Shut up. Anyways, yeah. So yeah, that is interesting news, Brady. Thanks for bringing that up. I always enjoy talking some of that extra stuff. I do watch some of that. So, but yeah, Peacock, man.
Yeah. So the deal is it's $9.99 for the WWE network, and the cool part about it is, I don't know if you guys are old enough. I remember the first pay-per-view that I think I talked my parents into paying for, because back then we barely even had cable. But the first pay-per-view I think I talked them into paying for was the SummerSlam where the sign falls down and Mean Gene goes, "Fuck it." If you know what I'm talking about, You know what I'm talking about. But anyway,
When was it was
it's like 80 something, 82.
No, not 82. I don't think they were doing SummerSlam at 82 yet.
Or 87. No, it was well, shit, man.
Hogan and Macho Man going at it, that one?
I think so.
Was that
I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at it, but it's definitely a Mean Gene Okerlund highlight.
Oh yeah.
Because I remember, and the thing is, I remember watching it live when it happened, which is why I was like, anyway, point being, that at the peak, pay-per-views cost $50 on WWE. If you're watching it on cable or DirecTV or wherever you're watching it, before the network, it was $50 per to watch a pay-per-view.
It was like 70 for HD.
Was it really?
50 for just standard definition.
Shit, man. I was well.
I think one of the last times I actually paid to get a Mania on pay-per-view for HD, it was damn near $80, bro.
Holy cow.
Yeah, dude.
You need to buy one of those de-scrambler. Anyway, the point is,
that's the thing though. Growing up as a kid through the 80s and 90s, I was blessed because we had a black box, so I got to watch them all growing up for free.
Yeah, I think you're right, Dan. It was very early on, early on. But anyway, so and then when the WWE Network came out, and it was $9.99 per month, and that included all the pay-per-views. And you could go back and watch old ones, and you could, and to be honest, the WWE Network for $9.99, even though I don't always like the pay-per-views, the fact that all of this archived wrestling is there is, to be honest, worth it.
Yeah, especially if you like old stuff, because it's all on there, all the ACWs, all the WCWs.
There's a lot of AWA. There's a lot of WCCW. There's a ton of stuff.
We got independent stuff now, overseas stuff now. Like, there's just a lot on there. So it's cool. But the whole thing is NBC is getting rid of the NBC Sports channel and streaming network that they have, which is going to affect some of the actual TV stuff because they're going to take golf and what was it?
Probably tennis.
NASCAR maybe, or some sort
NASCAR?
of scene or something.
NASCAR's going on Peacock?
They're going to go on to USA.
Oh, okay.
Because they were on Peacock. So the one thing that is in danger is NXT is more than likely going to get the boot from USA Network and just be on the Peacock Network now instead. So that interesting to see what it's going to do for ratings between them and AEW. I don't know if it's going to do a whole lot. It's obvious now that each company has their diehard fans. So I really don't see a big swing in that. So
I would say this. I think that people that are already watching NXT probably are already watching they're already network subscribers, I would assume.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. That's as the most of them are going to be. So the nice thing too, though, is looking at it. So and it's crazy seeing the response of this whole So again, so what the whole thing is, the WWE Network here in the United States, as we know it, is going to be absolved into the Peacock Network. So when you go into the Peacock Network, there will just be a WW wing on there, and that's where the now WWE Network will be. There will be no actual network app like there is right now for everybody in the States. People have been complaining, like wrestling. I've seen people be like, well, you just lost my money. And it's like,
it's ridiculous.
You're paying the exact same price and you're getting thousands of hours extra content outside of just wrestling.
Yeah.
Getting everything that NBC Universal has.
And here's the other thing. So the way that it works, to my understanding, is if you are paying for the network right now, which is $9.99, you automatically, when they transfer, it automatically transfers over and you get premium for the same price on Peacock.
Right. I'm paying that for the network now. Now I'm going to be able to watch like everything that NBC had too.
Absolutely. Here's the other part of it. If you don't like that, if you think you're paying too much still and you're just still a cheap bastard, you can get all of the content for $5.99. You just have to watch ads.
I think it's actually $4.99.
Or maybe it's $4. Yeah, okay. Well, I don't
got limited ads, and from what I've heard though, they're still short. Like it's still a lot of ad time.
They're like YouTube ads.
Yeah, like it's it's crazy how cool of a deal this is for everybody who has it, because if you didn't like, I am a diehard Parks and Recs fan.
Oh, there you go.
Love Parks and Recs. I have watched it about 5 times through first season to the last season during this dumb pandemic. And that's why I have the Peacock app. I got it again, like literally 3 weeks ago, because I was like, it's time to binge all the Parks and Recs again. I haven't watched it in a little while. So I literally just finished watching the last episode of that series. And like 2 days later, they're like, oh, WWE Network is going to be on there. So it was like, perfect. I just downloaded it. So, it's going to be, and then the other thing too, you can still have the Peacock Network for free and still get a lot of on-demand WWE stuff. And
right.
Yeah, Ron Swanson is one of the best characters ever.
Yeah, 100%. Which I don't know why this just popped into my head. My son, I don't know if any of you have watched this, and I don't know if you've watched it, because other than wrestling, I don't know what your tastes are, to a degree. So on Netflix, they have a little thing under your deal, and I share a subscription with my 2 sons and I guess my ex-wife, because that's the kid's mom, and I don't. Anyway, the point is that they've got a thing on Netflix where it just says play something.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen this?
Yeah, I think so.
And you just click it and it starts playing, and I think it's supposedly based on your oh yeah, perfect. And I thought they did a good job, Dan, don't you? I will say this, their tribute was long. It takes a while to watch through everything, and I remembered some of the matches, but I was more interested in seeing what the talent had to say about him than rewatching his old top matches. But anyway, so I pushed play something on the Netflix. And have you ever heard of the Umbrella Academy?
I have heard of it. I've never watched it, but
I started watching it. I got hooked on it. I mean, it's like, now I'm like, I already in 2 days I watched the first season, because I'm also working still,
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know if anybody else watches that. I don't know if, I mean, I'm normally not a comic book guy. Yeah, I just got so hooked on it, because all of the characters, Brady, are so, it's like every character, there's like, I mean, it's just it draws you in so fast. And they do such a great job with the music on it. Well, no, she didn't even know. The kids get the Netflix, and then they give us, and then they dole us out with the ad. Here, you can have, add on. So
your mom and dad get with the new technology.
I have the technology. Some of these guys know that I'm cheap. Yeah, I'm not being a comic writer, but anyway, Bullet Academy. But it should be the Bullet Academy, for God's sakes. Bullet Club, Umbrella Club. And anyway, point being, I'm totally hooked, and so now that's taken up part of my time too, trying to watch this. I'm like, when am I going to watch what I need to watch aside from stuff I now want to watch?
Have you watched the Cobra Kai show on there?
No.
Oh my God, so
good. Is it good because it's humorous?
There is some funny, there is some comedy to it, but like, I've always been a Karate Kid fan, the movie, the original movie, Miyagi.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's a great movie. It really is. And 2 was pretty good when they went over to like Japan. 3 was whatever.
Okay.
But the really great movies. And what's really cool is it's the first show to come out that has to do with a movie that they've had like the complete rights to the movie. So they literally are tying these storylines to the movies and are going through everything.
Wow.
All 3 movies. They're including all 3 movies. And it's just, and now the guys have kids, and now Johnny and Daniel's son are going to be friends. And Daniel's son's kind of like a dick sometimes, it turns out. Like, it's just and the karate fight is badass, dude. Very badass. Yeah, man. Dude, I watched it all in 2 days. all 3 seasons.
Wow.
It was crazy. I just
What
couldn't
were you,
stop.
so what you had no time to do anything else?
It was just the weekend, man. I wasn't going anywhere. We're on lockdown. It was snowing. And I was like, you know what? I see. The thing is,
so 3 seasons. How long is 3 seasons?
I don't know, because I binge watched the first 2 seasons literally in like a day and a half, and then like the next day the 3rd season came out. And I was like, hell yeah,
Gotcha.
But I mean, it started on YouTube though. It was a YouTube series show, the first 2 seasons, then went to Netflix, and I never watched it then when it came out. I was like, I should watch that because I loved the Karate Kid movie. Just never did it until just now on Netflix. Oh hell yeah, dude! It's gonna get good, bro.
Excellent.
It's gonna get
Well,
good.
anyway, so that's a deal. But it's so easy to get off track, right? What else do we need to talk about? Anything?
No, man. Let's get into our favorite Rumbles.
All right,
30
nice. Episodes.
We have basically just one list this week.
Yeah, we did. So for those of you that joined a little bit late, to let you know, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about our favorite Royal Rumble matches. We'll rank them. The top, I would say our top 4 were absolutely identical, and so I didn't want to make my own list and be redundant. 5 and 6 for me and Ace are different, so I just listed 6. Okay. And the reason I only listed 6, it's always great to get off track. It's a beautiful thing about doing this kind of stuff, Jess. You know that, my friend. But anyway, we'll start right now with the. Well, I would be off track if I knew what I was doing. Anyway, now for the main event. Well, I don't know if it's a main event, but it's an event. So I did not do because it snowed over the weekend, so I was on double time at the airport. So I didn't have a lot of time to do it. But anyway, our number 6 favorite Royal Rumble of all time. And we'll talk about some that are not on this list too as we go along, because there's some funny ones and stuff, but they just don't make the cut. Though is last year, 2020, and this I like to say was a tale of 2 Rumbles. And the reason I like to say that is because you had the first part where Brock Lesnar said he was going to be number 1, went in number 1, and basically ran through what, 10, 12 guys.
He got like dozen deep.
I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy. There you go, Dan. And then you have Drew McIntyre comes in, and there's some great spots too, like Keith Lee against Brock Lesnar was awesome. The New Day against Brock Lesnar was awesome. And you know this, and I'm a big Brock Lesnar guy because of the fact that I got to meet him before he started. And so I just always have that. But then the huge, even though we knew about it, you have the huge comeback of Edge. And that was last year. And that's one of my favorites for those reasons.
Yeah, it was a good Rumble. Like I said, and that was like really the only one you had that wasn't on my list that I originally sent to you.
Yep.
And it was it was in my mind. I was definitely thought about it. It just didn't make the cut with everything else I had for my own reasons,
Gotcha. And number 5 then on our list was 2016.
Yeah, 2016. And again, and you kind of said it too about the story about this whole Rumble and like how it ended, Again, this Rumble had nothing to do, and why it's on the list has nothing to do with rigged against Reigns and him not winning and how it all ended. The real story is, like you said, first Sami Zayn makes his debut on the main roster, so cool. But at the number 3 spot, AJ Styles makes his debut in WWE, which was rumored, but again, was one of those rumors that it's like no one thought he would actually ever go.
They did a fantastic job of keeping it quiet.
And no one ever thought they'd actually sign him. So it was a pretty cool moment to see him come out, see the reaction. Even Reigns played it well when he was in the back and the stuff comes on screen and he's like reading it like, oh, what's that? I don't know what that means. But it was great, man. It was just and it started what it was just been a tear of a run in WWE that AJ Styles doing, and still even to this day he is still just doing a great job with Osmos and everything he's got going on, man. AJ Styles is just one of those top talent guys, man. He's one of those guys that would have been top, like Jericho, who was like really high up in WCW, you know, as far as what he as a talent, and then went top of WWE. Like, he is this generation Zach. And actually, I take it back, because AJ Styles actually did work for WCW right before they went out of business. He was signed. He was one of the contracts that did not get picked up by WWE. He was months into it. So, I mean, really, he's been in all three of the major companies, with the exception right now of AEW. And we know that's not going to probably ever happen, because he's been pretty open about his last contract signed with WWE will be the end of his career. So, but to me, then that whole thing that made that whole Rumble.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I remember watching the Rumble. Actually, I was watching it on TV at your house. You guys were still doing that Rabblecast business.
Oh, were you over with us for that?
Yeah, and I remember losing my shit because you guys you had me come down and do a third mic for you, and I just remember we were just like none of us.
Was that at my apartment?
It was.
Damn, I just remember watching it, but I don't remember. Well,
I've
kind of blocked out some of the Rabblecast days.
That's because you were high as a kite.
Yeah, that too. But like I said, I've also blocked out a lot of the shows we did in those Rabblecast days.
Understandable.
But yeah, man, that was like, that was just.
It was
that WWE kind of accidentally ruined the surprise, because the camera cut to the actual big screen when it wasn't supposed to.
Oh, right.
That phenomenal, and everybody at home, So it was just, man, it was a cool moment, though. Cool moment.
Definitely was. All right, so let's pop on to number 4, which is the 2019 Women's Royal Rumble.
Yeah, man. This whole event, that whole night was around Becky Lynch. Everything she had gone through, the almost getting there, the setbacks, the almost giant match with Ronda Rousey at Survivor Series, then Nia Jax breaking her nose, which just became an even bigger iconic moment for her on this ride to becoming probably one of the best female talent in WWE ever, and in the last 20 years for sure. So, man, it was just, I know, and the story was cool. I know you personally kind of didn't like how she got into the Rumble, but it was just a cool story, though, because everybody, she's got to win. She's got to win. She's going to beat Asuka. How else is she going to have this match with Rousey at WrestleMania? Because it was all pointing to Rousey, her Mania. We didn't get it at Survivor Series. It was going to happen then at Mania. And they made it happen. They threw a wild card in, but I wasn't mad at that wild card, because nothing's going to get worse by adding Charlotte Flair to
right.
it. You know what I mean? But the whole her losing to Asuka, Lana not being able to make it all the way down, and then Nia Jax coming out and just further destroying Lana, so she definitely can't be in the Rumble, and then Becky coming out and begging Finlay of all people to go in there. The only thing I didn't like about that made it cheesier is in a real-time setting, like Finlay even pointed at Lana like it's her spot, and that's where they should have played the interaction of Lana being like, go. Like, you remember when Hart, the worst main event of any WrestleMania, I think it was 9 at Caesar's Palace, where Bret Hart gets beat by Yokozuna, and then Hogan makes the save, and Fuji challenges him, and Bret Hart's like blind in one eye from the salt, and he's like, go in there, and Hogan just wins the freaking title in like 2 minutes at WrestleMania 9 to end the Mania for no goddamn reason, and also had that black eye because the rumor is the night before he got punched in the eye at a bar. It was just like, it was one of those things where you should have been played off like that, where Lana's like, go take my spot, let her. Yeah. Finlay being like, all right, go. But I mean, still, just when he's like, does the go for it, and her music hit and the stadium erupts, and then her winning it, because again, that was just, everybody knew where that was all heading towards. Yeah. And she had deserved it so much. It was just a really, and again, we hadn't had a real, other than the first women's Rumble to really just make history being the first women's Rumble, that was the next one to have some significance in it.
That's right.
Yeah, I think Santina did make an appearance on that, and I believe Natalya and Beth Phoenix eliminated him. I
think that's right. All right. So and I will say this, because I mentioned these before. Even though I did not like how they got her into the Rumble match, certainly loved the outcome. and that's a beautiful thing about nostalgia. Even though this is merely seems like 4, 5, 7, 12 years ago now, but it was just last year or 2 years ago.
But she was just so hot.
Red hot, and you forget about those little things that cause you a problem. Okay, number 3, we chose for different reasons, but I would say number 3 is 1998, and I liked it because you had Mick Foley, the 3 faces of Foley, all coming in to the Royal Rumble. I thought that was fantastic, and I still think it's hilarious. And every one of those characters had legitimate opportunity and probability that they could have pulled it off too.
Yeah, man, Mrs. Foley's baby boy, he could have won it at any moment. Started the match, one of the last people in the match. And that's just a cool addition to that Rumble. And like you said, though, that wasn't why I put it on the list. That was just another extra cool note from the Rumble. But the reason that was on my list for being one of the top Rumbles is that set up a lot of stuff as far as Stone Cold Steve Austin and his first major big title run. You know what I mean? Because the thing with this Rumble is this is where Mike Tyson first makes his appearance on WWE television.
Mm-hmm.
He's in attendance there. They're talking about the next night he's going to be on Raw, which is then where he comes to the ring and they announce he's going to be the guest enforcer at WrestleMania. And then Austin comes and you have that moment of just mayhem where Austin flips Tyson off, and obviously they're not going to be best friends. And one of Tyson's poor guys just kept getting stomped by Austin. And money, where the money fell out of someone's pocket too? Wasn't it that one? And they're just like rolls of $100 bills. And just seeing the WWE talent, producer, Jerry Briscoe, Pat Patterson, Shane McMahon, Tony Guerrero, all these guys in the mix with all of Mike Tyson's just entourage in the ring was hilarious. But anyways, because we're really pushing time tonight, this setup though, that iconic WrestleMania match where Austin was there with Tyson, Michaels, and Tyson turns on Michaels. Austin gets the win, becomes title, and really this was like the beginning and one of the biggest moments of the Attitude Era. And honestly, this was kind of the first this was kind of the dagger in the heart. From that moment on is when WCW started going down.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I think Bischoff did an interview recently and they talked about it. And he said, as soon as I saw that they had Tyson on, I knew that meant trouble for us.
Yeah.
Because at the time, he was the baddest man on the planet.
Yep.
He really was at that time. He was in his heyday still. He was knocking fuckers out like nothing, dude. He was doing it like for morning breakfast. Like
knocking fuckers out, raping people.
He did his time. Leave him alone.
Oh, I know. So by the way, Jesse, if you want to look at that 1998 Royal Rumble, and you can probably find the whole thing on YouTube if you want to watch it.
Yeah, it was good too. I mean, Austin's just awesome too, man.
Definitely, it's a great one. If you're a fan of Foley, you're going to love seeing him come out 3 times as the 3 different characters. But it's literally one of the top 3 matches that the Royal Rumble. So it's a very, very good representation.
I'll say this too. I said it to you before we were alive, but the other thing from that is it was Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie. Were 1 and 2. And what was funny is Funk lasted a good while in this match. Like probably 20-30 minutes deep he got in it. But the funny thing is every time a new guy came in, he was wearing that nylon mask over his face. And it was funny through that whole Rumble, you just see him always pulling it up so you could see who's like looking at, about to like wrap up with and put it down. And it was just like the whole match. He's just like, it was just like, dude, just take the thing off, Terry. Like everybody knows you're Terry Funk. The Chase on Charlie thing's whatever, but it was hilarious. But that was a good one, man.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right. The number 2 Royal Rumble match of all time, 1995. Shawn Michaels goes bell to bell.
The athleticism to not let one of those feet touch. Like I watched that this weekend just for this show, and the whole time I'm just like, dude, there's no way. My arms would have got tired. Like eventually one of the other foot would have went down. He hung good like minute and a half. Wasn't just like a couple seconds. Maybe not a minute and a half. Maybe that's long. It felt like that watching. But I mean, it wasn't just like 5 seconds he hung and then got in. He struggled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And dude, it's funny. So this is the one where they bring Pamela Anderson in during her heyday. and she's gonna escort the winner out and escort the winner into WrestleMania. And yeah, man, it was just a good, so some of the names in this match though. So first of all, him and Bulldog were 1 and 2.
Yep.
And both of them went far. And just some other cool names, man, because this had some really cool names as far as this old school era. Rick Martel, King Kong Bundy, Owen Hart, who got attacked by Bret Hart on the way to the ring. Or no, he attacked Bret Hart on the way to the ring, which was starting to set up the feud between him and brother versus brother. Dr. Tom Pritchard. Get a Dr. Tom Pritchard in there. You don't get to see him in the ring often on WWE.
Yeah.
So that's cool to see a guy who helped train some of the biggest talent for that company actually get to go in there. But yeah, man, it was just a great match, dude. Michaels really like the Iron Man match, DX, all these things were these things that made Michaels who he is, and that is one of the greatest performers in the world of wrestling ever. And that Rumble really proved it.
Absolutely.
I love when he dances on Pamela at the end too when he won, because she did not look happy that he did. Get me the hell out of this ring.
Yeah. Pay me my money. Let me get the hell out of there. Just a real big dick. All right. And our number one, and it's consensus. You probably look all over the internet, and this will be consensus. But the number one Royal Rumble of all time, 1992, when Ric Flair, with a tear in his eye, wins the Royal Rumble. And if you like Bobby Heenan, if you know who Bobby Heenan is, you have to watch this Royal Rumble, because this is truly, not only is it Ric Flair, but it's absolutely Bobby Heenan, because you ride the wave with Bobby Heenan. When Ric Flair is being done wrong, Bobby Heenan is there to let you know hard. When Rick, I mean, it is the most fabulous example of how important an announcer is to wrestling that I could give to anybody. And Bobby Heenan is just an absolute. He is every bit as important to this match as Ric Flair is, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love it when he leaves at the end after he went, I gotta get out of here. I gotta go. It's just great. And that's one of the best promos ever too at the end, though, with a tear in my eye. And it just, dude was I mean, Flair is arguably one of the biggest champions to ever be in NWA in the territory era. Oh, I can't speak. And also WCW. I mean, and this was him getting the top belt in that next big company. Just again, another reason why Flair is one of the best ever to do it. And again, too, the match was great, and he was in there for a while. He came in early. I think it was.
So here's the thing. He was number 3.
Yeah.
Now, originally, and this was, I think it was in Heenan's book. Heenan thought you should have him start at 1. But apparently, Vince said, no, that's too much. So they had him start at 3.
Yeah, save that one spot for a WWE guy.
Yeah, well, whoever the hell.
When they did that. I mean, like, they're not going to let a guy win the Rumble at the one spot that wasn't the original WWF guy.
Right. But the idea was that Vince wanted him to come at 3, and then the whole idea was that it was Vince's idea to have him that early.
Right.
Not fair to Flair to be fair to Flair, or wouldn't be fair.
Yeah, that's too much.
It's a mouthful, Dan.
Yeah.
But anyway, point being, it is one of the.
And also in this match, we do get the very first Hogan Flair stare down.
Oh,
I believe, don't we? Wasn't Hogan?
Well, so I recall the end. The end is Flair gets rid of Hogan, and then it's Hogan and Sid.
Oh, no. Yeah. And so Flair gets rid of Hogan. For some reason, Hogan blames Sid.
Yeah. And here's another thing I read about it. If you're to I read about it. If you're to go, oh, okay, got you, Dan. I got you. If you're to go back and watch it, originally, it was portrayed as, well, he got put out. nothing wrong with it. I think actually it might have been Sid that put him out, and not he, and not Flair.
Yeah, that makes sense because that's why he grabbed Sid's arm.
Yeah, and then then they went, but then they went back in on the home video and what you would watch today on the network or in archive, and went in and redid the commentary. Monsoon redid the commentary, and like Sid Vicious snuck up on him and pulled some dastardly deed.
So they made him heel it. Well,
yeah.
This which was weird because this is also, again, Flair finally came over to WWE at the time, and obviously with that happening, with the one match everybody wants to see in this era, then when that happens is we need to see the two biggest names in the wrestling industry as we know it right now go head to head, and that is Flair and Hogan, and now they're in the same company, which is why we got a stare down during this Rumble match. I do remember they do go face to face for the first time. But then when it all ends, it was because they were going to build towards that Sid Vicious Hogan match at Mania when it should have been Flair and Hogan, but for whatever reason, McMahon did not want to do it. So,
yeah.
Or I guess I don't really know. I guess I don't remember. I know it's out there. You guys go do some research. You'll find out why it didn't happen. I don't remember if it was Hogan didn't want to do it or Flair or Vince didn't want to do it. But either way, it didn't happen. It should have. And that would have even made it better because then you just had Flair come in, win your biggest match, get this title match, and he's going to finally get Hogan at Mania. I mean, how much more could you sell pay-per-views? You know what I mean?
Oh, my God. And again, that was back when you had to actually pay. It was actually pay-per-view. It wasn't
that was almost the early days of it, too. Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, all right.
And real quick, just some other things, like we kind of mentioned it before.
Awesome, JJ. Thank you for looking in. We appreciate it so much.
Yeah, man. Is you mentioned, well, you can mention it, but I'll mention one that I didn't mention that I always kind of thought I enjoyed. And that was, I don't remember the year, but it was Bret Hart and Lex Luger going out at the same time. And for one time only in history, we had co-winners of a Royal Rumble.
Oh, that's right.
Because was it Gorilla Monsoon at the time, or was it? No, it was Jack Tunney. President Jack Tunney came down and made the official announcement that they both were winners and both would get shots at the title. And then yours, when
so
kind of the same thing, Batista Cena going over the ropes at the same.
One of my favorites is 2005, and it's John Cena and Batista. And they both go out and their feet hit at the same time. Now, this has happened in other things, too. It happened with Reigns and Brock Lesnar in the Elimination Chamber thing. But so what happens in this case, if you recall, they both land. They're both out at the same time. What do we do? Vince McMahon comes storming down to the ring and blows out both of his quads as he's getting into the ring and can't walk. And I mean, obviously it's not nice to see anybody get hurt, but watching him try to pull this off on his ass in the ring, and everybody's arguing with him, like him just sitting there in the ring is a normal thing that happens all the time.
Well, and it just shows too, like how you got to roll with it when you're on a live audience. Cause they had to, like, you see Cena just getting on his knees next to him, trying to plead his case, like knowing like, he ain't getting up for some reason, so this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
And then Charles Robinson also like finally realizing, okay, he's on the ground for a reason. I'm gonna get next to him. But the other thing too is that like that wasn't even supposed to happen. Batista like jumped too high, and just the momentum carried him over too.
Yeah.
And Vince McMahon was like legitimately heated and was coming out to like be like, what the shit? And also, here's what we're gonna do. But then just as he goes for that slide in, you just see both quads hit the ring apron as he's sliding in, and just all of a sudden, hey, he can't get up. What the hell?
And if you look in there, he tried.
Yeah, you can see it in his face when he's sitting there, like he's just like, I can't. So he was able to like turn his body to get his legs out of it after, but yeah, it was crazy. Yeah. And like literally, like the part I didn't get though is where like they just threw each other out each time. Like Batista throws Cena out again, and then Cena threw Batista out again when they didn't even say the match was still going. And it's like, right, obviously that doesn't count.
Yeah,
it's a discussion right now of what's happening. But
I want to also mention the one of my most satisfying Royal Rumbles was when and I can't remember the year right off the top of my head because I didn't look it up, but when Asuka won the women's, was it 2017 or 18?
Yeah, that was the very first women's Royal Rumble.
So Asuka won, and then Shinsuke Nakamura won, and Shinsuke Nakamura beat Roman Reigns, and I think when he won, that was one of the most satisfying wins because at that point, everybody hated Roman Reigns and were getting sick of him.
And people were into Shinsuke at that time.
Totally into him because he had not been ruined yet.
Yep, and that was also the famous debut of Ronda Rousey.
That's right.
Some of Asuka's thunder. But
that's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's our quick review of Royal Rumbles past, and now we'll run through here and give previews. In this day and age, it seems like all you have to do to get into the Royal Rumble is get yourself a camera, and you don't even need an interviewer anymore, and you just say, "I am declaring for the Royal Rumble." And apparently they don't, it's like first come, first serve. I don't, that's one thing I wish that they didn't do, Oh, thank you. And here's the thing. When you talk about, like, we're talking about the Suicide Squad, we're talking about the one where he blew his quads out. When you watch this and Ace says you gotta roll the punches, the thing about it is so similar to comedy in that it is so reliant on a huge degree of improv that because you gotta whatever happens, you gotta go with it. And that's one of the reasons it's an art form. And so a lot of people don't realize that. They think, oh, it's fake. Well, whatever you want to say, that's not it is and it isn't. I mean, we were talking about David Arquette getting poked in the neck and almost dying from a fluorescent tube. That ain't fake. That was not fake blood. That was real blood. That was a real hospital, etc. But anyway, point being,
gone wrong.
That's one of the reasons that I think I like it so much, and I've always been drawn to it, and in that kind of stuff as a whole, is because there's a certain expertise and finesse to pulling this stuff off. I cannot do the physical stuff that these guys do. I just can't. But I have always imagined myself being a talker. Very similar. One of my favorite guys, and you're probably familiar with Andy Kaufman. Andy Kaufman was one of my absolute favorites, and his involvement in wrestling is one of the first. I mean, he was way before the rock and wrestling business. So anyway, point being.
So I got the card up. Let's run through some predictions here.
Yep, that was a big one too.
Yeah.
And then I think I would say, Dan, I think that one's in the top 10.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Maybe that should be our next list. Some of the greatest face-offs in wrestling or something.
Ooh.
But yeah, so let's run down this card and get our predictions in here. All right.
All right.
We'll start with the United States Championship match. Bobby Lashley versus Riddle is going.
I think Lashley keeps it.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think they're gonna put anything on Riddle. The Intercontinental Championship, Big E versus Sami Zayn, which should be a good match.
I think Sami is a better chaser at this point, but I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he got it, but I think they keep it on Big E.
Yeah, I'm also curious to see if they're going to do something with the New Day eventually, bringing them all back together. So I'm with you on that, though. I'm going to go Big E. Women's Tag Team Championship, Asuka, Charlotte Flair versus Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. I honestly, I have no idea where any of this stuff's going, because they've had so many little things going on in this women's feud, as far as like, it would look like Charlotte and Asuka were eventually going to have a match. It looked like Nia and Shayna were eventually going to go at it. Now we have Charlotte and Lacey Evans, and it's just all over the goddamn place. And now we're seeing Asuka really building stuff with Alexa Bliss, which once we get to those Rumble matches, I'll have more to say on that.
Yeah, and yes.
But yeah, so I don't know. I'm going Nia and Shayna, because if what I think's happening with Asuka and Charlotte, I think means that they're going to have to drop the titles, and also, yeah, they're going to have to drop the titles. So
I agree. It frees them up to do what they want to do with the other programs.
Mm-hmm. So exactly. So I am going with that. Then we got the WWE Championship. Drew McIntyre versus Goldberg. I'm not even going to watch this damn match, so I don't care. What do you think?
My fear is that Goldberg's going to win.
This is why I refuse to watch that match.
I don't, and this is the thing. Oh my God.
You're onto something there, Dan, but I'm gonna throw something else at you.
I have another opinion about that as well.
I feel like JR and I might be on the same page with what we think is going to happen. But yeah, so again, McIntyre go. I don't
want to see it, but I'm afraid that Goldberg's going to win simply because this is what they do all the time.
If they do, I pray Miz comes down and wins, and we get a Miz.
I do too. Believe me. Oh my God, I would be okay with that.
Gotcha.
But here's okay. Let's move on.
It's a rough one. It's just a rough one because it's just a match that shouldn't be happening. So
right.
Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens, last man standing match. I see Reigns winning, but if I'm gonna go with my gut, man, Kevin Owens, he deserves it.
So the only way that Kevin Owens wins is if
involved.
Scrap
Daddy gets involved.
Well, he may, but I mean, the only way that Owens wins is it's hard for me to figure it out. If The Rock is indeed interested in doing a match with Roman at this WrestleMania, then I see him dropping it.
From what I've heard, that is not happening.
Exactly.
Rocket, like they've pretty much confirmed he will not be there this year.
And so here's the thing though, Dan. Goldberg is even less of a part-timer than Lesnar was.
Yeah, at least
Goldberg
Lesnar when he was there.
Goldberg comes in, literally, he hasn't done shit. He's been on 3 shows. He'll wrestle 1 match, and then he'll leave. He's not.
I still say give a shot to Gilbert.
Gilbert has been in more Royal Rumbles than Goldberg, I think. I have to do research on that. But anyway, I'd love to see Kevin Owens win. If he does, I don't know where they go with the whole. They got to. They can't not give it to him to keep the head of the table shit going.
Well, but they could though, just for a rematch till Mania. After Mania, and then what do you do? Because really, they only have Elimination Chamber in between here and now, and
yeah,
you can have the head of the table win the Elimination Chamber to get it's a setup or whatever they're gonna do. I don't know. Again, I see McIntyre losing to win it back at Mania, so I don't know how much his stuff's going to be affected in the Rumble. I just don't know. See, the other thing too is because he's not confirmed to be in the men's Rumble, obviously, because he's in this match. But is the match going to be the main? What's going to be the main event? Is the men's Rumble going to end this? Is the McIntyre Goldberg match going to end it? Which I don't think it will, because they already caught enough heat by having Goldberg on and giving him a title match, and I don't see them ending the show with that. Because if they don't and McIntyre loses, we could see a Becky Lynch situation where he then gets himself in this Rumble.
Well, here's the other thing. Now, think about this. This could be a possibility, okay? So, Goldberg beats McIntyre. Mm-hmm. Roman beats KO, but Roman still goes into the Royal Rumble and then goes after Goldberg to unify him. They're not going to do it, but
yeah. And there's also another wild card in all of this.
There's always wild cards.
And so let's do the men's Rumble. Here's who we have announced so far: Edge, Dolph Ziggler, Sami Zayn, Mustafa Ali, Jeff Hardy, Cesaro, Otis, Shinsuke Nakamura, Sheamus, AJ Styles, Jey Uso, John Morrison, The Miz,
Bobby
Lashley, Daniel Bryan, Big E, and Randy Orton.
I feel like Daniel Bryan goes a ways.
Actually, yeah, Dan. The one time I know for sure it wasn't was I think 2017 when they did the first women's Rumble, and that ended the pay-per-view because they ended the whole show with the Ronda Rousey debut.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you anything else because I can't remember that far back. I'd have to rewatch. So Randy Orton was the last name I said. That's the wild card in all this because I feel like Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, will be in the Rumble.
He's got to come back, doesn't he?
I feel like he's going with everything that's going on with Alexa Bliss, which is why I wanted to end with the women's Rumble. With everything going on with Asuka and Alexa Bliss, and just the whole referencing to this invisible Fiend, and then with how it ended and her taking the RKO on Raw last night, which by the way, that was a hell of an RKO.
That was freaking awesome.
It was pretty nasty. So with all of that, I feel like we're going to see the Fiend come back in the Rumble. Like I feel like it's going to be. Now here's the other thing too. They're going to announce the 30th entrant. They're doing the WWE backstage the night before, and I think they're announcing like the first entrance and then maybe the 30th entrant for one of these matches, which is weird. I don't like that they're doing that.
No,
but for people who are like, they don't ever do it. Why are they doing it now? Not true. There's been many Rumbles where we've known who the 30th participant was because it was part of the storyline. But yeah. So again, I think the Fiend's going to get involved here. Where that all ends up going, that's where I don't know because there's so many different things that can happen between the Owens and Reigns, the Money in the Bank, and all this to then get to who are going to be in the title matches at WrestleMania in the beginning of April. So I don't know. I really don't know it because it just depends on all of that. And if the whole point of this is that we're going to give Drew McIntyre his moment at Mania, he has to go in there without the title. But how does he do it? Is he going to win the Elimination Chamber and get that shot? Is he going to be somehow put into the Rumble?
Or he's going to lose to Goldberg and get in, yeah. Other, and here's there's so many up in the air storylines. So Edge is coming back. Is he going to be involved?
Announcing it though, he's not going to win.
Oh, I know he's not going to win. But my thought is, right? So you got Orton. There's no reason for Edge to come back if it's not to get Orton, and Orton's involved with the Fiend. So, I mean, otherwise, why even have Edge come back now?
Well, just because he's gonna I think he signed like a 2-year deal.
Yeah, but so, I mean,
gonna come back. They're gonna do more.
I guess
wants to wrestle with younger guys too. Like you don't want to, you know what I mean? So I mean,
I know
they'll have, and this will be how they blow it off, though.
Yeah,
they'll have their little interaction in the Rumble, but it will ultimately be blown off because, again, I really do feel Fiend makes his return, and that is the bigger storyline right now, and that is the direction they're going to go with by Edge. And again, though, obviously we're going to get an Orton Fiend match. That's where this is going. There's going to be another match with these two, and it's going to probably be the Mania match. And that's not, and if that is the case, then that more than likely is not going to be for a title. So we know Fiend and Orton aren't going to be in the title picture, but that Fiend persona and everything him and Alexa are doing with this whole thing, one of them damn sure should come out of Mania with a title.
I would think both.
And so again, men's Rumble.
I'm going to say Daniel Bryan just because.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at this point, and we still have Friday night that maybe give us a little more of a clue, but
or Miz cashes in, doesn't beat Goldberg, he wins Rumble. I really don't know how they're gonna do it. I don't think I mean, yeah, they could do a triple threat, Dan, but just story-wise, it just makes no sense because Edge and Fiend have nothing.
Yeah,
it'd be weird to just all of a sudden try to create something out of nowhere. And plus, it's just there's so much going on involving Alexa Bliss and all of this that again, I don't know. I really don't know who's going to win the men's match. Honestly,
I know it's certainly not obvious.
Really
And I think
there's so
and
many variables.
I think I mean, here's the thing. I think the other matches that come before are gonna dictate to a degree what actually happens.
Here's what I'm going to say, and I could be wrong because again, whatever. I think McIntyre loses. I think McIntyre gets himself in the Rumble.
Okay.
Maybe not though, because again, too, he's been out with COVID. And
that's true.
That we're probably not going to forget about. That will get brought back up. So I don't know, but that's what I'm going to say. McIntyre somehow gets in it and wins because he's going to lose to Goldberg.
Okay.
Women's Rumble. Here's who's in it so far: Nia Jax, Charlotte Flair, Bayley, Bianca Belair, Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke, Peyton Royce, Shayna Baszler, Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott, and Tamina. There's going to be some surprises in both these matches, I'm guessing. This one for me is where I feel pretty confident, and that is, and I'll because I'm curious.
No, you go first.
Yeah, no, I want to because I'm curious to see if you're on the same page. I don't see how Alexa Bliss doesn't win the Rumble. I'm also willing to state that she'll be 1 or 2 and go the distance.
I would agree with that.
And I do think, and here's my reasoning, and tell me if you have the same mindset because of this. 2 weeks ago, she beat Asuka, the champ, clean in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Last night, match didn't end. She never lost to Asuka.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to win the Rumble. She's going to win the title at Mania. And it's going to be as this
fiendish
Alexa Bliss Fiend version.
The only monkey wrench I'll throw in the works is I mean, we haven't talked about it, and we haven't. And we've talked about her a couple of weeks ago in the biggest disappointment of 2020. I think Tessa Blanchard is going to be in the Rumble.
I mean, yeah, but I don't think she.
Well, I mean,
if they do sign her and they put her in it, I just don't see her winning it.
I don't know.
I think, especially knowing her reputation, they're not going to put a title on her right off the bat.
They'll make her earn it, but I think she'll be in. I think, and it's hard to say. I would assume somebody like,
Well, here's another.
So here's the thing: do they have enough females to do 30?
Yeah, they definitely don't need.
Are they going to pull? Are they going to pull more from NXT? Because
Yeah,
I think I'd like to see Rhea Ripley in it.
Yeah, I think there'll be a few NXT girls that come in. I'd love to see Shotzi Blackheart get a chance.
Yeah,
I'd love to see that. So I think we'll see that. I think we'll see a couple of NXTers on the men's one too. Yeah, Chelsea. I mean, it's not a horrible call. I personally just don't think it's going to happen, but that's just my mindset. But that's not a bad call for a debut. And if she does, I really don't think she wins. I'm still sticking with my Alexa.
Well, it'll be the same thing as with AJ.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. And on the men's side of things, the one name I could see possibly debuting on WWE, and it's just because there's been the rumors that they're heavily interested, and that is, I think there's a possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen, and I think there's a bigger possibility it doesn't, but there's a small chance that we see Marty Scurll debut on WWE in the Rumble.
I would be very happy to see that. And see, this is the thing. Why I bring up Tessa Blanchard and you bring up Marty Scurll. WWE, as long as it's not really nasty business, they don't have a problem with a little bit of, controversy, shall we say?
Yeah. They don't sweep stuff under the rug.
How
Dan, you haven't missed anything.
I don't think they bring him up.
He just doesn't want to go.
He's happy where he is.
That's exactly what it is. Now, to be honest, though, I could see him definitely being in the Rumble, though. But yeah, and that's the thing with Adam Cole. Eventually, he's gonna probably have to make that move because he is a hot commodity. But him, Johnny Gargano, a bunch of these people in NXT are perfectly content, and they've seen what happens. They don't want to get moved.
See, and that's the huge problem. When you go to the main roster, you aren't you anymore.
No, you end up becoming Retribution.
Because hey, look, here's a match with Slapnuts.
We're gonna call you Flapjack, okay? Wear this mask.
Slapnuts and T-Bone.
Yeah, it's yeah. So,
I mean, and let's be honest, because when we talked about best matches and best stories of 2020, Adam Cole and
Pat
McAfee were they were right up there at the top.
Yeah, dude, Adam Cole's an amazing talent. Like he could do good things on the main roster, but again, what are they going to let him really do on the main roster? You know.
And here's the other thing. Just it's a I hate to say it this way, but it's a small thing to remember. Adam Cole is not a very big guy, and so when you put him up next to a McIntyre or some of these, they have to try to figure out that disparity, you know, because that's one thing that I think a lot of times people we forget about. It's like, okay, if you got a guy that's 6'5", you kind of got to match him up against a guy that's 6'5", because if you have your champion who's 5'10" and he's wrestling a guy that's 6'6" or 6'7", now you get how do you answer? You have to be able to suspend that disbelief.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, then it really then relies on the storytelling.
Yeah,
you know, like a Rey Mysterio, he was a believable champ because he made you think he could be the champ, or you know, like that. AJ,
absolutely,
I would phenomenal guy who's proven that.
See, I would pay money to see Adam Cole versus AJ. Mm-hmm. I would see money to see Finn Balor. I mean, there's a whole chunk of these guys. I guess Impact used to call it the X division or whatever. But there's a whole chunk of guys that are not behemoths that I would much rather watch. You know, but there's also these huge athletic guys, and that was the whole thing with Lesnar, right? The whole reason with the thing with Lesnar and why it was believable that Lesnar could be part-time talent was because he could legitimately probably kick the shit out of most of those guys.
Right.
And so anyway, it's interesting. Yeah, Nakamura would be fantastic too, and it'd be great to see him be able to do some actual business.
Yeah, like I said, I think the holdup with him though is going to be he just doesn't want to do it. And I mean, can you force him up there at some point? I don't know. I don't know
how you do.
Like, you know, and you got to think Triple H is sitting back quietly laughing at this because he's like, it's further cementing his point of view on, hey man, you get it now? Like, my guys don't want to debut on the main roster because you ruin them.
Mm-hmm.
You ruin them. Like, it shouldn't be like that. Plus, I never got that. If they built and became something in NXT, it's the same damn company at the end of the day. It should just carry over. Why do you feel you need to change everything they did and worked hard on in NXT just because they're now on the bigger show? Like, get the hell out of here. But again, that's old man thinking.
Yep. This is how we've always done it. Anyway. Any other surprises you can think of that or you've heard through the rumor mill that?
No, honestly, this one's been a hard rumble just because with the pandemic and everything.
Yeah.
You don't know. You don't know who might be willing to come out there for it. You don't know who they're going to maybe reach out for it. You don't know. And, you know, now that we've seen talent leave them and go to AEW and the big releases because of the pandemic and stuff, I mean, there's just a bunch of wild cards out there right now.
And and to be honest, there's a lot of people that wouldn't set foot back in that building.
Right. And there's a lot of people who have a lot of stake in their name right now that have never been there and would be willing to, like a Marty Scurll.
Yeah.
Especially where he don't have a lot of options right now.
Or a the other ROH guy, panty dropper, Wings. I can't think of him. I can't think of his guy.
Oh, Castle.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
If Dalton Castle came into the Royal Rumble, I would say that my money was well spent.
Yeah, I'd mark out a little bit for Dalton Castle if he came in on the Rumble. That'd be good.
Oh, absolutely, Dan. I mean,
it'd be perfect too because he has that peacock gimmick.
Absolutely.
Use him to push
it would be so odd. What now we're thinking? No, we should be paid money for that. You're absolutely 100% correct, Dan. I mean, that's the biggest and most gross abuse of talent that I think I've ever seen.
It really is. It just proves that, like, when you don't know what's going on in the real world and outside of your world, you're not going to change and you're not going to progress. See, that's the thing. When the Attitude Era was happening and became a big thing, it was because Vince's back was pushed against the wall and he had to do something. He's not had that challenge since. And to be real honest, I don't see AEW giving him that run either, because there's just too many WWE faithful out there. And honestly, to be honest, there's some weeks that the AEW products even like, what are you guys doing? Like I said, Cody Rhodes is finally responding to Shaq after like 3 week ago promo that Shaq.
It was more than 3 weeks.
Yeah, right. Like why are we waiting? Like what was the need of doing it then?
I think the big
AEW's all over the board with their storytelling. Tell one goddamn story, finish it, move on to the next.
I think the big thing with WWE, and it still goes to this. It goes to two things. It goes to one, Vince continually hiring people that are episodic television writers and not and with no wrestling experience, right? Okay, give me a story. Or and I can only assume that he comes up, he and Bruce Pritchard come up with these premises and throw them at the writers and say, okay, come up with this.
That's exactly what's happening. Is they're pitching like, here's what we want to do, write it. Then when they write it and give it back,
and they don't like it,
and then just him and Pritchard end up writing the goddamn show.
And the reality is, if you got an 80-year-old man, which I don't think he's 80, but he's
7. Not. And that's because the only reason I know that is his older brother just passed away the other day, who was 77.
Okay. So even if he's 73, 74, 75, all right, I know how old I am. And I'm not as I can't keep up with shit like I used to, simply because I can't. Mm-hmm. And this is a man who admittedly never kept up with popular culture.
Right.
The only way he knew about popular culture is what people told him.
Yeah, I mean, it's been said he knows nothing about the wrestling world outside of WWE.
Not only the wrestling world, but I don't think he knows anything about the world, period, as a whole.
Did you ever hear the famous story about they wanted to use something with a burrito or something on storyline, and he didn't want to because he was worried that the general public don't know what burritos is, and everybody was like, bro, everyone eats burritos. What do you like? He thought no one knew what a burrito was. Like, just stupid, like shit like that, man, you know. But it's a weird thing, man. The guy is solely responsible for giving me some of my greatest memories of wrestling, and also I don't like him at times, so it's really weird. And he's also done some really shady shit in his past in this world, so it's like,
yep,
it's a polarizing figure. I'm excited to see the documentary they're making, and when that comes out, that he's authorized finally, I think it's a Netflix one.
Yep,
I'm down to see that. I think that if they really go all in on it, that could be a very interesting documentary.
Yeah, I agree. All right, folks, I'm gonna put in the comments. If you don't have a shirt yet, there's a little thing. You can go to our shirt shop if you want to buy a shirt and support us. You can do that. They're nice. They're relatively inexpensive, and they're pretty high quality. We're neither of us wearing them today. He's got a Tom and Jerry shirt on. Which
coming out soon.
That's big news. And I have just a blank gray T-shirt because all of my other shirts stink.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna try to pick up some cool shirts when I go to Vegas in a couple weeks and go to the Vegas fight store that they got out there. They got a lot.
Absolutely, do that, man. Yeah. Let's see what else. What else can I tell you?
I believe Wes and I have a show Thursday. I think we're going live this week on Thursday. So
very nice.
More than likely 6 p.m. Central, 7 Eastern is my guess. Maybe an hour later than that, but Thursday, Briscoe and Big A show. Me and Wes Briscoe will be live with our next episode.
Please tune into that show if you're a wrestling fan and spread the word, because it's a lot of fun. And I'll tell you this, it's nice because they don't talk about wrestling. They do a little, but not. It's basically my buddy Ace and his buddy Wes talking to each other about how stuff is.
Yeah, it's funny. You know, you got to think a lot of times where it's like, oh hell yeah, Dan, enjoy.
Holy crap, that'll be awesome,
bro. That'll be cool. Yeah, it's funny, man. Like, he's a wrestler. Like, the last thing he wants to do, because he's been around it his whole life from a child, is sit at home and watch wrestling every week whenever it's on. Like, that's just he sells houses, he's a surfer, he fishes. Like, so yeah, when we talk wrestling, it's me kind of filling him in on what's going on.
Right.
A lot of just talk about any of his friends in the business and what they have going on. So but yeah, it's fun, man. We got a lot of great response from the Jerry show, him and his dad on the show that we did a few weeks ago. So if you haven't heard that or watched it yet, check it out. It was a good one. A lot of cool stories from just some of the old timers.
Awesome. Other than that, if you want to see me perform, I am on with Corey Adam on Thursdays on Twitch. Look it up at twitchtalk.com. That's from about 11:30 until 1:30 or 2. So you can hop on there. Otherwise, yeah, absolutely, Jess. No problem, buddy. I will be more than happy to. And thank you so much for hanging. We appreciate it very much to you and all the guys from the Twitch Talk show, the Twitch neighborhood, the whole Steel Toll family of programs. Who we're kind of ancillary out here in the hinterland, because I can't do the Twitch like those guys do yet. But I someday plan on it. Then maybe we can make a little money. But other than that, yeah, I am performing. The next time I am performing that I know of is there is talk of the second or third week of February in Fargo.
Ooh.
And then April in Dubuque, Iowa. Wow, there you are. Very nice to see you. Thank you for peeking in. Handsome and hilarious. You know, they're very kind to me on Twitch, on the Twitch Talk show. They're very kind to me. Unlike most of the people that are here, they're like, oh, that fat old Marty Jannetty looking son of a bitch. What the hell are we talking to him for?
You're the only one that says it.
Shut up, I am not. There was another guy that came on the one time and did the whole thing. Anyway, last week we had our friend Goro on. If you want to go and you recall him, he's a Twitch guy, and he comes on and has these biting. Oh yeah, we appreciate it very much, Dan.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Dude, we're still so bummed about how that all ended up working out and how we're gonna have to miss the triple whammy. But when it finally happens and they move on to the fourth one, Dan, we will be getting our reservations on the boat and we will be back. And it's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna miss all my cruisers, my Jericho Cruise friends. You know, Jason and Erica, good friends too from the boat that we're not gonna get to hang out with this year. So yeah, man, it's a bum. It's a bummer for sure. But
one of the worst.
I'm not gonna lie though, and we'll have to talk about it. If for any reason that date gets pushed back further from October, and depending when it gets pushed back, I might throw my name in on that waiting list. So
perfect.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm not that I'm hoping, Dan, that it doesn't happen. I hope you all go in October and it's amazing and I hear all about it. But just in case it doesn't, I might try to get on that waiting list and get back.
Oh well.
Get our cabin back.
So how it all goes. How it all goes. Anyway. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you. And if you watch your Rumble, come on back on next week, Tuesday. Let us know what you thought of it.
I wish we could do like a live viewing, like me and you watching it, and people can join like on Twitch and watch it with us or something. But
we might be able to.
I don't know. We'll have to figure it out.
We'll talk about. We might do that. And if you want to watch a Royal Rumble with us, let us know. We'll give it a try.
I bet, Dan. There's a lot, man. It's just so. And there was a lot of overseas people on that trip too, and it's a scary thing, especially with. Sounds like borders are going to get shut down again for international, so it's like, yeah, man. It's.
Thanks, Jesse. Take care, buddy. I'll talk. I'm sure I'll talk to you on Thursday.
Take it easy, Jesse. Thanks for coming by.
All right, guys. We look forward to seeing you next week on Tuesday. If we do a live watch party for the Rumble. We will certainly post it. We may be able to do that. I'm working from 12 until 6, so I probably won't get home till 7, so we'll be late if we started anyway.
Okay.
But
if we can't do it live, we just won't do it.
Yeah, let's just watch it.
Yeah.
Let's just watch it and then tell stories after.
Hells yeah.
Because I'll be freezing my feet. Anyway, all right, everybody, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And take care of yourselves till next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.